Qaaman, Black and Fist, rhyme style, you guys were wrong. You said that the story of Bardock didn't make sense about him going back in time and all that stuff, but it did make sense. And I'm going to explain it to you right now. Cue the intro. Here's Goku. He's the main character of Dragon Ball Z, and here is his daddy. That's Bardock. He's pretty wounded right now. He just got psychic powers. So he uncovers the conspiracy to destroy the Saiyans, and he goes and he's going to lay waste to Frieza's men. So he gets this dude in a headlock, and Mr. Mullet here, he's not feeling it. So he shoots the crap out of Bardock. Oh, sorry, spoiler. Now he shoots the crap out of Bardock, and Bardock is totally incinerated. The end. Okay, so that's not quite what happened. What actually happened is that Bardock totally destroyed those guys, and then he goes, he's pretty wounded. Dodoria shoots him with a mouth beam, and he's in his healing chamber and everything. He tries to tell people, but like most conspiracy theorists, everyone thinks he's nuts, and so he goes and he fights Space Hitler, Frieza, and Frieza shoots the revenge ball thing at him, and he's totally destroyed. But then, years later, people love Bardock, and a writer comes along and creates a Bardock story, where Bardock was actually sent back in time, like thousands of years, and he becomes the first Super Saiyan, and he defeats one of Frieza's ancestors, which is what instills the fear of Super Saiyans into Frieza and his people, and that's what sets up this whole thing. Like, Bardock is the legend, and Frieza and all of his men are totally fearful of this, and that's why Frieza actually destroyed Planet Vegeta. He was worried that that was going to happen, and actually it did end up happening, and Frieza was the cause for Goku turning Super Saiyan when he offed Krillin, but he was also the cause of Bardock whenever he sent him back in time. And I'm going to explain in just a moment how Frieza actually sent Bardock back in time and how it makes perfect sense if you just think about it for just a minute. So let's keep going, and you guys are going to agree with me or disagree with me in the comments below very soon. Okay, so what actually happens, as I mentioned, Bardock lays waste to those dudes, and then he goes for Frieza. And what happens is, as you can see here, he's in low orbit. Well, it doesn't look like. Well, whatever. It doesn't matter. He's in. He's in space, basically, at Frieza's ship. He's calling out to Frieza, and it's actually it would have to be really close to the surface of the planet, because his voice wouldn't travel through space very efficiently, not to mention he wouldn't be able to breathe. So he calls out Frieza. Hey, Frieza! Right? And Frieza is all like, what? Come on, bro. I'm trying to destroy the universe. I'm trying to be the emperor of everything. And Bardock's like, no way! I'm gonna wreck you, son! And so Frieza comes out there, and he's just maniacal, and he creates the supernova, and he, with his finger, and he flicks it. And Bardock, he's like, oh, heck no! And so he throws his blast, his everything blast, and it just gets absorbed into Frieza's supernova. Right there. Bardock is totally annihilated, or so we are led to believe. However, this is not what happens. He's got this vision of Goku. He sees the future, smiles, and then kazoosh, he's gone. But that's not the end for Bardock. As I mentioned, Bardock is rocketed back in time, and at that point, he wakes up, he's on Planet Plant. It's way before the Tuffles got there, before the Saiyans got there, and so it's way in the past. And he helps these little purple dudes to defeat Lord Chills, that is Frieza's ancestor. And in so doing, when he's fighting him, he goes Super Saiyan. And presumably, because the Saiyans, they don't exist yet, I guess, he's the first Super Saiyan. And he becomes legend. It's at this point, when Bardock goes back in time, that something incredible happens. And that is, there are two Bardocks. Two. There is the Bardock that existed in the timeline previously, and it's the same Bardock. It just he exists twice, basically. So the Bardock that faced Frieza and then was, you know, incinerated, whatever, he goes back in time, right? And so from the point that Bardock was born until the point when Frieza shoots the supernova at him, that is one instance of Bardock. Then you have the Bardock who began to exist. He wasn't born. He began to exist there. He spontaneously generated on Planet Plant thousands of years ago, and then he's just this mysterious warrior, and he comes along, he beats Lord Chills, he becomes the first Super Saiyan, and he's the one that is basically the legend, right? We have no idea what else happens to him during that time, but you know, what we basically see is that he is the legend. And my theory, what I'm going to posit to you guys, is that his past is actually the future. The Bardock Father of Goku special is his past, but it's the future for everyone else. And at that point, when he's on Kanasis, and the fish guy hits him in the back of the neck, and he gives him psychic powers, it is at that point that Bardock becomes in tune with the Timeosphere, right? You see, matter and time are very close. They're linked, right? Time is contingent upon gravity, and so it's this whole. It's kind of complicated and confusing, but basically, the science says that depending on something's mass and gravity, that will determine how fast or slow time passes on it. So, for example, someone on Earth is going to experience time differently than someone in orbit. So someone in orbit with who's not on Earth time's going to pass a little more slowly for them. It's going to feel the same, so relative to themselves, it will be the same. Relative to someone on the ground, time will be passing more slowly. And that's because of something called gravitational time dilation. So there is a connection between the passage of time and mass and gravity and physical matter and that sort of thing. What happens is Bardock is given this ability to move through time, as Goku later develops an ability to move through space. So when Goku is given or taught the power of instant transmission at the beginning of the Trunks saga, we find out about that. Well, at the end of the Trunks saga, Trunks, so we're introduced to two things. We're introduced to time travel. We're also introduced to instantaneous spatial travel. So Trunks, using a machine, can move around in the timeosphere, but he has to hop timelines. Goku can move around instantaneously in the universe, provided that he can feel where he's going, or has an idea of it in his head. Bardock, on the other hand, he can move around in the timeosphere on his own. He doesn't need a machine. Except he doesn't realize it at first. So what happens for Bardock is he's given the power from the Qaaman, and he starts having these seizures, these episodes where it's like zip, zip, zip of these flashes of Goku as a kid, as a baby on Earth, and then later on Namek, and he's fighting Frieza, and the last thing that happens is that Frieza shoots the supernova at Bardock, and an influx of energy hits Bardock. And at that moment, Bardock has another seizure, a flash of what's to come. It's at this point that Bardock is, again, which it's happened a few times throughout the film, Bardock is accessing this time thing, this time energy. So when Frieza hits him with the supernova, that thing has an extremely high amount of heat, mass, density, and energy behind it. And it hits Bardock, who is accessing the time, the time key. Whether he means to access it or not remains debatable. No, it doesn't. He didn't mean to, but it happened. And when it did, it shot him into the timeosphere, which I'm calling it that. That's that funky space without space, but it's time, where Trunks travels along, and Cell travels along, and Bardock also travels along. So what we get is Bardock is rocketed backwards, because he doesn't know how to control this yet. So my theory is that when Bardock gets shot back in time, he wakes up, he's fine, he doesn't understand why he's fine, and most other people don't understand why he's fine, but he is. And Bardock becomes Super Saiyan, and then through that, see, he's got a different type of ki now than any of the other Z Warriors. And what I mean by that is he actually has not just a ki that's based in matter or in the world of plasma energy, as Goku has, not spiritual energy, and it's not magic, it's time energy. He's got a new kind of ki, and he has to develop it. In the same way that Goku had to develop his ability to become a Super Saiyan, and then he developed it further where he could turn Super Saiyan and not have to worry about using up his ki and that sort of thing. Bardock eventually learns how to use that time ki. So Bardock goes, he begins to move through time. It's at this point that Bardock goes and he meets his wife. He's not as ruthless. as he was before, because he sees he's still ruthless, but not as much, because he knows the error of his ways. And this is where the special of Bardock, or the Bardock manga that Toriyama, the canonized version of Bardock, comes in, because that's actually the same Bardock, just way later. And it's at this point he's decided to live a peaceful-ish life with his wife and his son Kakarot. And so in this timeline, Goku is in fact, brought into the world differently than he was before. And so now we've got two Bardocks. We've got the one that disappeared, and we've got this Bardock who is a family man. But there's also two Gokus. Now, who is the other Goku? Where is the other Goku? I'll talk about that next time. But basically, my idea here, and maybe we can flesh this out, because this is a discussion, right? This isn't just me talking. Maybe we can flesh it out together. The Dragon Ball community, for instance. So my theory is he was given access to Time Key, and when that happened, Frieza shooting him with all that energy at once shot him back in time, and that's why it all can line up. And I'll put out a more detailed version of this theory soonish. But tell me what you guys think. Remember to rate, comment, subscribe, and post like all of your thoughts, hate mail. Oh, Robby, you're so handsome. I hate you for it, or whatever. Look. I'm not going to dictate what you guys want to put in the comments. Just put it down there. It's like right there, right below me. Let's do it. Until next time, this has been Dragon Ball Discussions with your boy, Robby Monroe. Your boy? Scratch that last part.